Hey man, y'all better wake y'all's butts up and get on this show. It's the Way Forward show for the weekend. And guys, I started out playing some chill music for this show because with as much testosterone as there is on this show, there are some people that are going to not be happy about the fact that we're talking about football today. We're talking about football today, but we're also talking about girls. And so, hey, I want to give a quick disclaimer before we both get on here. And I know that both of us from our heart, as we're talking as men who love the Lord and who love the people who are out there, this is in no way meant to disparage Haley Van Boris or her family. But I just want to probably tell you, you don't want to watch this episode. This is not going to be an episode for you. We mean you no disrespect, but there are some cultural issues that I think we need to get to, and some issues that I believe are facing and plaguing our culture and also plaguing the church. So are we too wimpy these days? Or are we just going a little bit too far with this subject matter? We would love it if you guys would tune in. It's the Way Forward show. And I'm going to bring in a very, very, very special co-host of the show, Jason Plummer. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah. Yep. Today's the day when we get our show canceled.
That's right. Start raising some objections or having a counter viewpoint, man. They don't like that. They don't like you when you don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So I'll just ask everybody who's going to participate in the show, if you have thoughts that are contrary to yours, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all, you're allowed to be wrong. And if you're wrong in a polite way, I'll actually put your comment on the comment section. But we are a black guy and a white guy that discuss the issues for our culture and for the church. And so as we get started today, I'll give you guys the official intro for the Way Forward show.
Government officials insist that
So Jason, how's it going, man? How are you today?
I'm all right. We are we're wrapping up our football season. Abram's getting done. So his last game next week. But we played Thursday and won a nail biter. That was kind of cool. Varsity got a big win last night. That's odd. They're coming around because we went through a drought.
Okay. All right.
Pretty bad drought. But the coach there is doing some great things. So it's weather's actually decent. It's not crazy. It's weirdly warm. The end of September. Usually we're starting to kind of cool down, and it's El Nino, I guess, is slapping us upside the head with like a late summer type thing. I don't know. It's odd.
Huh? We'll take it. You'll take it.
At this point up here, people are ready for we're ready for the fall, not winter, but we're ready for fall. So we're ready for the kind of cooler days, nights, and the leaves turning and the pumpkin spice and all that nice stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
well,
good.
You won't have to wait long.
That's right. Unlike you, I know you. Like you are, the hotter it gets, the better you are.
Yes, and I'm doing well. I'm currently in Texas right now, so you see the hotel room in the background. I'm at a conference, the Spark Media Conference, where I'm playing a couple times here. But also, this is the largest Christian podcasters conference in the world. And so I'm with people who are doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. They're just not doing it right now because they're in the conference. And I told them, hey, I couldn't pre-record today's show. You guys are going to have to take this without me for about an hour or so. And so I'm popping out of a podcasters conference to podcast on a subject matter that I think is going to be intensely intriguing today for those who go back and watch that. And so for those of you who are Way Forward fans, whether you watch this live with us in the morning or whether some of you guys watch this in the afternoon, Jason practically broke the internet last week with one of the sound bites that he gave for this show. And so I'm excited that we get a chance to dive back in and get another hot topic for our culture today. Let me first of all give you guys a couple of disclaimers in reference to the source material that's being used. It is used under the clause of fair use, section 107. And so we need not say all of those different things about why you can use it. Just know that I can use it. And for those who are out there who want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be great too. lets people know that people are watching this and they appreciate and enjoy the content. So go ahead and do this. All right, with that out of the way, let's dive into prayer, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we got to say, and there's a couple of videos that I want to show, and this could be a little painful, but we have the Dolphins here to comfort us.
Good.
Lead us in prayer, my friend.
Father, thank you for this morning. Thank you for today. Just give us wisdom and clarity, and help us not to be jerks about this, but to be wise and good and compassionate, but firm in the truth, Lord, so that we can flourish as a culture, Lord, and not dissolve ourselves into chaos and sin. Grant us grace and mercy, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I don't know if it's just a phenomenon of the time, but a lot of the videos that I'm seeing, like Officer Tatum and this other gentleman that you sent me, are men who are addressing this issue, and not everything that they say we are endorsing. In fact, I want to say that there's some things that I don't endorse of what it is that they're saying, and some things that I do endorse, but I wanted to do it like this today, Jason, if we could. When we come to some of these cultural points that are being made, is it sometimes too much? As we probably need some women to tune into the show and give us some feedback, but are we making the argument too forcefully? Are we going too far and making a point? Or is our culture just so soy boy and just weak-willed and weak-minded and weak-spined that they just can't even tolerate anything that has to do with a real conversation that people need to have? And so I think it ranges between the two of those things. It goes back and forth. And so we'll look at that today. I want to start with some videos that I believe are pretty graphic that you tuned me on to, Jason.
I just sent you the one that has the two. There are a slew of these videos out there that they are graphic, and they're hard to watch. And if I'm watching them and I'm trying to show my boys why we don't endorse this and why we don't like it and why we don't lay hands on women and why we do what we do, and they get to see some of these, just some of them, not all of them, but some of them, it's crazy, bro. Like, so I sent you some tame ones, but there's YouTube is too much. You want to talk about violence against women? Oh my gosh. So yeah, so I sent you some tame.
So specifically, if this is a click paradigm that you don't want to go down the street on, stay away from these videos. We're gonna show the tame ones, but it is hard to watch. All right, this is
So I'm
my
assuming
daughter
this
got to run the ball.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is a dad who's proud that his daughter's playing football, right? And this is an assumption. I don't know the person behind the camera. I'm excited for my daughter to run the football. She's going to get it handed to her, and then of course you're going to watch this. So.
Ooh.
So
that's Pee Wee football now.
Yeah, that's Pee Wee football, and on my screen it was really slow, but you don't realize how fast that kid came through the B. It looks like B gap. He came through there and rocked this little chica's world. Okay, so the video didn't quite show the intensity.
This is outrageous.
You want to set this one up?
Yeah. So okay,
my daughter got her first catch of her football.
So this is one of the first ones I've seen. I saw it a couple of years ago. I think this is a couple of years old. This is the type of play that I'm worried about as a coach. A wide receiver comes either unprotected or comes out of the flat, and They have no protection whatsoever.
Woo.
And the linebacker and the safety comes up and levels this kid, right? Levels. So even as young men are playing this sport, right? We're not setting our players up for that because we know that that's dangerous. The impact that young lady took on her body
Ooh,
is far
man.
greater than when it takes on a young man. Far greater.
Here's that hit the second time. Caught her first
Yeah.
pass. Bam!
Yeah. So on yeah.
Put it all.
So
Put it all this one.
it's bad. It's proven. What they're starting to do is there's not a lot of research on it, but there's ways to look at this topic, right? So essentially what we're looking at, young women playing football with men, young women playing men's sports. Specifically today, we're looking at football because that Haley Van Horst became the first non-kicker woman in college to play football. I'm assuming we're going to get to see her play.
Yeah, we'll see some of that through Officer Tatum.
So the culture is developing this idea that it's completely fine for women to play with men, regardless of the consequences, right? So there's been many times you and I have talked about the athleticism difference, right? There is an athletic difference. Men, by God's design, have more muscle mass, stronger bone density, longer arms, more speed. That's just the way they're wired. So that's just how it works. Women are physically a bit slower, not as much muscle, not as much bone density. Hips are different, and that's a big deal because you start to not only look at the athleticism, but you start to look at the injury rates that are happening when these girls are playing these sports.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that because I think people realize that on an equal field, the kind of injuries that are being sustained. Talk to us a little bit about that. I would.
So the medical field is starting to realize, and I sent you some links, and you can post some down there. But some of the research is starting to show that these women are starting to suffer more concussions than their male counterparts, and more ACL tears in their knees. Now the ACL tears are because they're actually saying it's because of the design of the woman's body. Their hips are a little longer, are a little wider, and that does something to their knees. So when they go up and they come down, they land differently than men do. And when they land differently, they're more likely to tear their ACL. They're also the concussions because their body is not made for that kind of violent impact. The concussions are starting like a 1 in 5 chance, or a 1 in 4 chance of them getting a concussion inside the sport. And so I think what's going to happen is as these women begin to really start to get involved in these sports, not so much at the younger age, because the physical body is for children's a little different. Girls can actually wind up being a bit stronger when they're younger than boys are. Not until the young boys hit testosterone mode and they start to grow. But as these ladies begin to enter high school and college, they are going to becoming suspect of some of these injuries that are just going to be outrageous. I mean, just outrageous because when you actually begin to let loose, there's a video out there of it looks like it's like a boot camp or an army drill, and a woman is suited up against a man to do hand-to-hand combat, and they both have a stick or something. And of course, in the Army, you're told to go 100%. So this guy goes 100%, and he jacks this woman up. It takes 6 guys to pull him off, and this woman's laying on the ground. I mean, when we allow that to happen inside of sports, when I tell my linebacker, you go hit that running back, or you go take out that wideout, and we take off the guards, the safeguards, right? Because what we teach our boys is, hey, she's a little bit strong, she's a little weaker than you are. Do not handle her like that. When we take that away, we say, hey, you go hit it. She's hurt. And we're talking about hurt like not just broken bones, but at some point she's going to want to have children. At some point, this is going to mess up big things. You know what I'm saying? And for what? For what? And that's if she gets on the field, because the athleticism is a big deal. Like you can't go play. Be careful, I'll
Yeah.
say this. A young lady as athletic as she is not going to be a starter on a D1 football team as a linebacker, a safety, a wideout, or running back, unless it's pure virtue signaling. Otherwise, athleticism is not going to get her there.
Okay, so there's the point. There's the point that I wanted to get to today. I wanted to think through: are we virtue signaling in a way that is unhealthy? What is our culture doing in terms of? I mean, because you've gone into some of the medical evidence related to that. I don't think anybody needs to argue with that. You've talked also about the context of coaching and kind of what you're asking your players to do. And do you want me to coach this where everybody is playing as hard as they possibly can? That's what I want to tell my team to do. And if they do, these are the kind of things that are going to happen. But I want to go into maybe a little bit more of the cultural arguments here. And we want to bring in Officer Tatum on this. Again, don't endorse everything that he says. There's actually sometimes where I don't endorse anything that he says. But on this particular issue, I think that it's probably a pretty good assessment. Girl gets embarrassed in woke college football publicity stunt, barely tackling male quarterback. Just in case you didn't know what it was that he's on. And so he makes some points here. And Jason, I want to figure out, is the point too strongly made? Is it too much? Or is our culture just too much and we need to be called out in reference to this? And so I want to take up this first soundbite of what it is that he's talking about here. Girls playing football is our episode today. Chime in with your comments and your thoughts on the subject matter as well. And if you feel like you need to remain anonymous, then you can do that as well.
Women cannot play football with men.
Okay. That's his point.
She's a girl.
And girls can run countries. They can sit on the Supreme Court. They can discover radium, but they can't play Pee Wee football.
Correct.
Why can't we? Let's look at this. You want to play football? Why can't women play in a women's football league?
Good point.
I don't have a problem with it.
Pause that for a second. There is a women's football league. It started in 2019. It's got 64 teams, twice as many as the NFL.
Okay.
So there's the WFA, I think it's called, and now they don't have a large fan base, so they don't get paid to play, right? Because you know how that works, right? You gotta have a market, and the market kind of fuels your salaries and that kind of thing. You don't have that, so let me be clear. I'm not opposed one bit if the girls want to go play their own thing and play against each other. Even though I think I'm still more partial to men playing football, there are guys sports. But hey, in America, if the girls want to put their own league up and they want to go play football, more power to them. So there is a league. There is a league.
Yeah, so let's be clear about that. There is a league. We do,
Yes.
both myself included, we do advocate that if you want to go and play in the Women's Football Association, WFA or whatever that's called, there's a pathway for you to be able to do that. We believe you should, have those kind of things of you. And yet, don't know that that's the wisest thing. I think that's both what we're both saying.
Right. Because I do think
Kind
there
of
are.
foolhardy.
Yeah, I think there are guys sports and girls sports. I make my own. That's even the way I teach my daughters. I just think there's certain sports that guys are wired to play and certain sports that women are wired to play, and they both can be excellent athletes doing it.
There you go.
Women can come together and play football in a female football league. But let me tell you why women don't want to do that. Because nobody would watch it.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing is it's true, but I just don't think you got to be a tool about it. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason why the WFA is not catching ground is that football's a fast-paced game. It's violent, and it's got a lot of technical skill that the most entertaining football is the fastest, more violent football. I'm going to put it that way, right? So when you watch little kids play football, it's entertaining because one, the kids are doing it, but it's not because it's super
you
athletic.
Probably know the kids.
Yeah, right. And then when you go into high school, the teams that you want to watch are these well-coached, fast, hard-hitting, disciplined teams.
Dominant,
the WFA, the game is much slower and not quite as technical, not quite as violent. So they fit lower on the scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, because football has a scale just like basketball does. You know what I'm saying? It's this novice to excellent or novice to expert, and the WFA is not quite there at the expert level. It's the same thing with the WNBA and the NBA, right?
Okay, I think he says that.
Nobody will watch a 5'6", 200-pound offensive lineman pull and block a linebacker that's 5'5", 150 pounds. Nobody on planet Earth would watch that ever. They already know that it's not going to happen because all you got to do is look at the WNBA. Nobody's watching that. People want to watch the NBA. Now,
I think he just made that point, Jason.
So here's something interesting with that point, Erskine, is that's true. That's true. I mean, we've had conversations with our wives about the WNBA, and that.
Indeed, we have.
I don't know if you know this or not, but the women's soccer team, you know, they've gotten annihilated by like 15-year-old boys and 60-year-old men, and they're not very good when they compete against other men, right? They got beat 12-0 by Ryan. The comedian actor guy. He owns part of the team.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
So they got beat like 12-1 or 12-0. So, anyways, what's happened in soccer now is that they've made an agreement that all money made by men's and women's soccer is split down the middle. Women get equal half, men get equal half, even though the men are going to pull in quite a bit more. Now, that's a standard being set, okay? So just keep that in mind. Even though the men lost to the Netherlands, they still made $13 million off that match, right? That $13 million now does not go to the men's soccer team. Now it's split down the middle and goes to the women's team, even though the women are not going to pull in as much money. So do you see what's being said there? Is that model is probably going to start making itself over to the WNBA and these other programs, and you're going to have some conflict happening, because I can tell you right now, not everybody in the NBA or the NFL is going to support that policy. So, anyways,
we'll continue.
Haley Van Voris.
Haley, this is not a strike against you. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say, Officer Tatum, you do a little bit too much on this.
Yeah,
I'm throwing the
you can
flag
lighten
on
up
this.
just a hair. She's going to come off the edge here in just a second, and
let me show you how trash this girl is.
I wouldn't call her trash.
Yeah, ain't no need for that. Ain't no need for that. Come on, Officer Tatum. You a follower.
And I don't know why they pumping her up.
Calling people trash.
Just let her play for a girls' team. Roll the clip.
Build about the 22-yard
So they bring her in the game.
line. So now
this is my dad, Chuck Norris. They say he doesn't.
Oh,
all right, Chuck Norris.
Okay.
Thanks.
I didn't know Chuck Norris had a kid. Look at that.
Whoa. What's that cheerleader doing with the helmet on?
She's in the game right here.
His side clips are hilarious.
Yeah.
Watch the play she make.
Is
or not
she number 10 right here? I think. No.
From their own 23, 24-yard line.
She don't know where to go.
She's got to line up in this edge.
She's running around, don't know where to go. She's playing safety. So if that should tell you anything.
Yeah, third down, another big play. As I said, formationally really diverse.
We got to get you on the end.
Mix up being under center.
There she is.
So they obviously don't want to put her in that position. They just put her in there to blitz because she can't do anything else. So she's sitting right here on the end of the line of scrimmage. Roll the clip.
There.
They're in the gun, but so far today, exclusively in the gun.
German with trips,
Boom,
left throws
she
under duress.
That,
okay.
ladies and gentlemen, is a
Okay,
late
now stop the clip for a second. Okay.
We stopped it.
You need to know something about this clip, okay? So she comes off the edge, untouched, okay?
All right, coach. Coach us up. Coach us up. What's going on here?
He comes off untouched. Look how they land, okay? So Officer Tatum's going to make the point, I believe, that this is a late hit, and he's right. The ball's well off already. and she still attacks. Okay, so the flag really should have been called, but whatever, we'll let that ride. What I find so striking is the way they respond. The quarterback's on top of her. You see that?
Yeah.
If she were to truck him, she would be on top of him. She would roll him over. But essentially what happens is this guy kind of turns her around and falls on top of her. You see what's going on there?
That's a late hit. That should be roughing the passer. But since she's a girl, they're not going to even call that. Let's go back to look at that. This is roughing the passer.
In the gun, but so far they
watch
exclusively in the gun.
German with trips.
He threw the ball already. He threw the ball. He's throwing the ball right now.
RPO, boom.
Then she go and grab him and pull him like they finna.
So she's like got an open hit, ball's out, right? Here she comes. Now what she's supposed to do is go off to the left and let him be, because you're not supposed to touch quarterback after he's released the ball. Whatever. Okay. It happened. She's being passionate.
Lay in the bed and have sex.
Oops.
Well, okay. Now he says that. He says that because of the way
we gotta watch what's going on here.
She's now going to fall on her back. He's going to take her and turn her around and put her on her back. See?
Incomplete. I think Quentin.
I can just imagine what he's a girl in your ear. Like, you know what? You know, that trash talk on the football field. Like, you know, it's just interesting. As a coach, I'd be looking at that like, how did that happen? How did she wind up on her back? And that's because he took her there. I mean, balls out, and so it wasn't so much that he got trucked. He like took her and put her down. And I think that's the point that he's making. Like why it's a trash play is you're looking at saying it wasn't like she lit him up.
A play that didn't happen. So
yeah,
let me
like
just be clear for everybody. It's a play that didn't happen.
It wasn't like she.
Yeah, to say that she actually tackled somebody, she didn't. She didn't tackle anybody. She didn't even make anything that was a legal football play. I think with the two issues that he's bringing up there, that if you are watching football, there's no football play that was made. The ball is out. It was an incomplete pass. Play is over. Should have been a late hit. Whatever.
And the way she wound up, like it was just, if you got a free hit on a quarterback in the NFL, that's where the lacerated liver comes from, right? Because like you just got chucked and you're on your back.
Yeah.
She didn't wind up. She didn't put him on his back. He turned her over and put her on her back. I mean, that's just,
you drop your comments in the comment section. Join in the conversation today. I'm sure this is going to age really well, Jason.
Here's the thing that makes this crazy is the CNN interviews. I mean, I think that's what this is right here. CNN's interviewing her. And
I think
CNN
it's Good Morning America.
Or Good Morning America, maybe that's what it is. Makes it sound like this girl just had a knockout play. And I think if I was on the other end, I'd be like, why are you making such a big deal about this? Like, who cares, right? Like, so what? She's playing football. Like, let her be. The point is that you're moving these cultural boundaries to a place, and you're trying to elevate something that you're calling excellent when it's not excellent. And two, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And we need to make a big deal of it. Now, I don't think we call the girl trash. I think come on, Tatum.
That's too much.
You profess Jesus. We don't call people trash like that. But I think we say that we don't elevate this and saying, hey, that's a model tackle. That's a model. That's exactly what women can be doing in this kind of league. No. On several levels. No. On several levels.
All right, well, let's hear a little bit of this.
They babying her. They patting her on the head. Oh, look at you. Oh, don't line up here, line up there. Like, if you can compete, then you can compete. If you can't, why y'all putting on the charades? Let me let you listen to what she had to say. Nothing against the girl. She just shouldn't be playing football with boys.
Good morning, guys.
How did it feel, Haley? Did you wake up in the morning and think, this is going to be the day? I think I'll make history today.
Yeah. Something like that, just out here to be playing football, and it's game day, and, you always got to be excited.
Well, you know what? Most of us, anyone who's ever...
Let me say this before I get to doing this. I want people to understand, it's not the young girl. She got a great attitude. She's probably a great competitor. She's probably very smart, very proud parents. She's probably doing everything that she thinks that she could do. They are the ones setting her up for failure. She should not be playing football with the boys. If they don't have a girls team, you just can't play. You should not be playing with the boys. You're embarrassment to football.
All right, let me stop on that point there because that's strongly worded.
Now, I think he played football. Didn't he play like at a D1 level?
He looks like he played football.
I'm pretty sure his background is collegiate football. If I'm not mistaken. So
if you guys know something about Officer Tatum's football career, you guys can put that in the comment section today.
I believe he was a D1 athlete. So he's coming at it from he's an athlete talking to an athlete. You know how that goes, right? Like
sure.
When one athlete's talking to another one and you're saying, hey, you're not measuring up, you're not cutting it, that's a different conversation. That's not like a dad talking to a kid or two people outside of athletics talking to each other. This is the kind of conversation.
Library lecture.
Yep. This is a different conversation. This is when you step in the world when you step in the world of athletics, you embrace the right to critique and to be critiqued. Like your teammates are telling you all the time, get your head out of your rear end, get going. And you have the right to tell them, hey, it's all of us, right? You got to step up. So that's one athlete talking to another. He could be a little cooler about it, but I mean, that's the other context here.
Hey, his show and this show and others who really like it. There's one part that is there also for entertainment.
Yeah.
And so, he is that. I want to make sure I watch the comment section today to make sure that people are not tuning in. We're probably going to get this banned, but it's a good conversation to have because I can cut up the shorts and put those things out there. But at any rate, let's keep going with this.
No offense, but you're an embarrassment to football.
No offense.
Played a sport, knows what it's like to ride the bench for a long time, and then finally your number gets called. But you didn't just go in and make an average play. You went in there and made a great tackle. Tell us.
Okay, that we're too much. I'm throwing a flag on that one.
That's the media doing what they do, and it's interesting to be in on that. Every football team's got to watch film. And I'm just curious what film's like when you're sitting there like, hey, how'd you wind up on your back? I mean, way to come off the edge. He still got the ball off, still made a play. How'd you wind up on your back? I bet you they don't have that conversation. I bet they just skip right past it. Be like, okay, we just keep moving.
I mean, there's a lot of things in sports. Like you and I both played sports, and so there's the public sphere in which people are watching the game. Like you said, to a certain extent, you invite critique because I always feel like as a public figure, if you're going to come out publicly and say something, don't be surprised if somebody comes out and acknowledges that you publicly said something and that they disagree with what it is that you're saying. That's just the responsibilities of being a public figure. If you're playing sports and there's an arena full of people who are there to watch you, don't be surprised if even some of those former athletes look at that and go, well, what happened? You didn't do anything. But to hear the media jump in on top of this and say, you made the most phenomenal play. It's like going to the water boy and being like, you know what? You were the reason why we won this game. If they wouldn't have had the proper hydration, they would not have been able to block or tackle or run or do anything. So we're going to give the water boy the game ball because it was his hydration that made us like nobody does that. That would be ridiculous. But yet we're watching the media do these types of things and we're going, man, that was just a great play. This is nothing against Haley, but that was not a great play.
Yeah. Little H2O.
That's what it felt like in that moment.
I mean, words really can't describe, but if I had to put it into words,
words can't describe it, but if I had to put it into words.
Because, I've been working, like you said.
That's not even a tackle.
So here's the deal. And here's what I think is also kind of sad about this. She's bought into this. Haley, if you're watching us today, I'm sorry. but don't take the participation trophy. Jason,
No.
do your soundbite again. Don't take the participation trophy. They call you for an interview and you tell them, I am not interviewing with you because I didn't do anything. Like when I actually do something, then you guys come back and then you guys report that. But for right now, don't accept the participation trophy. Let it fall from your hands and be like, I didn't do anything. I was expected to show up. I was expected to run toward the quarterback. The play was over. Nothing happened there. Let's all go back to business.
Yeah. That's what I would say. I'd be like, and that's the other thing too. If girls really belong here, then why are we talking about this? I mean, at the end of the day, if girls really belong here, and this is the arena they really belong, how many sacks did somebody else have on that team that we ain't talking about? You know, it's the same idea with this whole trans argument, right? Like, if the boy says he feels like if the boy says he feels like a girl, he feels like that, right? Then why you got to go make him, like, why you got to cut him up, make him one? Like, if he already feels like it, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of going after it? This is that media. That's right. This is fraudulent. They take advantage of people. He's got these crazy ideas. And what's the thing, the bottom line that we got to get to is this is just not God's design for sports. This is not how we flourish in sports, right? This is how we actually come to an end. Because at some point, if you start putting co-ed football out there as entertainment, we ain't gonna watch it. No one's gonna watch it. You're not gonna watch it. Because what's gonna happen is, I want you to think about this for a second. You remember Ray Lewis playing football?
Oh yeah.
Ray Lewis was a phenomenal linebacker, and he was known for being gritty, and I mean going at another speed, another level. And he would tackle guys and put guys in places, and even in guys' careers, right? Because he would hit so hard. Can you imagine if Ray? And this is college football, right? Can you imagine if this young lady got hit by Ray Lewis? Like coming full, like
no,
full,
I don't want to imagine that.
Full blown football. I'm sorry,
I don't want
man.
to imagine somebody being dismembered because they wanted to try to prove a point.
That's right. That's right. This is domestic. This is domestic violence. This is abuse against women. This is silly. This is silly.
You know what? In the right society, in the right societal mindset, I should say, in worldview, women should be raising up in this conversation and saying, I definitely do not want to see her out there. Let's put a ban on these kind of things, because the farther we let this go, and if we say, hey, take the brakes off, don't patty cake those girls out there, because that's patronizing. Take the brakes off. Jason, I'm afraid of what would happen.
Hey, listen to the implications off the field. So here's my dilemma, right? I coach football. I coach at a lower level. My league allows girls to play. I coach them up like I would any other athlete. I don't, even though I personally feel like they shouldn't be there, I'm not going to not coach them. They're on the team. That's what the league said. And they're out there. And I'm going to coach. I think that you could talk to my coaches and athletes, and you would find out that I do not at all like discourage or belittle or anything like that any of the girls that are on our team, period. I don't. You're out there playing football, I'm going to coach you up. Now, that being said, as we get into higher levels, that's not going to work. I'm not sure I could handle it well in high school or college for sure. Because here's the other implication. What's happening is these boys are being taught now at a young age to not have any boundaries with these girls as far as how you lay hands and how you see them. So on the football field, you're told, you go smack that girl, you smack her hard. You go hit her, you let her know you came here to play football. And it's not just because she's a girl. I would tell him to do that with any other athlete. We come out here, we could be in a sense, be controlled violence, do everything within the legal limits of football, but play actively, play hard, and you go lay it. And I don't care, it's even being said, don't care if she's a girl. She signed up for football, you go hit, okay? So now we take the pads off and we're in school. and girls starting to talk a lot of trash. She started doing this. What happens when two boys start talking trash? You start, it can escalate into violence, right? That's just a given. So what happens when this young man forgets or has been taught not to have any kind of boundaries, and he starts going to pound town on this girl? Because he's been told in sports, treat her like an equal. Treat her like an equal to your masculinity, an equal to your muscle, to your bone density, to your athleticism, to your testosterone. You treat her like that.
Yeah.
You smack her around. You let her know that she's not going to have you like that. So then what happens when he grows up in the heights and gets into marriage? You know what I'm saying?
So he cooking now. He cooking.
It's crazy that you have that side of things, right? So essentially, to protect the girls from that, we have to sissifiy the boys. we gotta say, hey, you're gonna have to put your skirt on because you can't quite do that. And so now you have this opposite effect in the boys. Is now you're taking the masculinity away from them, and you're trying to masculate the women. It's confusing as crazy as all get out. And I'm seeing it at a lower level. And my concern is when this gets off the field and gets inside the homes and the community, domestic abuse will rise, and the family broken dynamic is going to be even more fractured because there's going to be more violence in the home, more violence. And
Jason said, if y'all want to stop domestic abuse, y'all stop doing foolish things like this in the culture. And I think I want to concur with that. I want to double down on that, just make sure that I'm clear about that as well, and say this, guys. I'm going to give you an insight. I'm going to give you an insight into sports, coaching, competitive events. Not the cheating part where you're taking performance enhancing drugs, but the actual competitive nature of what's going on out there on the field or in athletic competition. You are trying to gain a competitive advantage so that you can defeat the other team. If you're going out to play to win, you do whatever you can within the confines of the game. And football is a very violent game. Vince Lombardi said it like this: fatigue makes cowards of us all. Fatigue and pain is your greatest ally when you're playing competitive sports. Now, I can speak about this from the level of playing college basketball. I'm going to run you into the ground. I want your lungs to feel like they're going to explode. We're going to press you so hard, or we're going to run so fast that you cannot keep up. Your legs won't allow you to do it. And it's going to tell your mind at some point, you're going to need to slow down. Just let him get that layup so you can rest for a second. Just don't run all the way out there because, man, your lungs are about to explode. So let him shoot that shot. Open three-point shot, game winner. Here we go. In football, hitting them as hard as you possibly can makes them think, I don't either want the ball or I don't want the ball in this position, or I'm thinking about the hit that I'm about to receive and drop the ball. That's what you want to have happen. So in competitive sports, you want there to be an association in people's mind of pain, and you want there to be an association of fatigue in somebody's mind, because that will cause them to relent, and you will be victorious.
Yeah. You're gonna make that wide receiver second guess that crossing route. You're gonna make that running back second guess hitting that hole as hard. And then you put this in this young lady's mind, especially when they decide to pull that guard. So what happens when she comes off the edge? The coach on the other team sees that. They're blitzing this girl off the edge, and they pull their guard. That's another YouTube video right there. They ain't putting that on Good Morning America.
What is a bunch of women on TV talking about football? She did not make a tackle. If this is what you're talking about, they playing it on TV. This is not me. They playing this play. This is not a tackle. He threw the ball. This is actually roughing the passer. But regardless, they didn't throw the flag. This is not a tackle. A tackle is when the person has the ball and they're proceeding to run with the ball, and you tackle them to the ground and the play is over. You can't call a tackle when the guy don't have a ball in his hand and you essentially roughed him by tackling him without the ball in his hand.
All right. I think we can be done with that, Mr. Officer Tatum.
Yeah.
Some guy burning this thing up. All right.
So just thinking through this biblically, right? So I got daughters. I got competitive daughters. Naomi ran track. and she would run until literally her legs would stop working. And I can remember coaches from other teams loving having Naomi run their heat because she forced everyone to run harder. She wasn't the fastest cheek on the track, but she was one of the hardest working on the track. So as a father, I loved watching her run. Absolutely loved watching her run. And her heat and watching her compete. And even if she was last in her heat, man, she just would come across that finish line and leave everything on the track. And so that was competitive. It was hard work. It was fought. And that feeling wells up in your chest like, man, like that girl's got grit. I love it. That would not happen in the male heat.
She'd be running as fast as she could.
She'd be running as fast as she could, but she would not be at the level of competition those boys were running. You know, she ran a 200, and she ran it in like, I don't know, I want to say something like just under 30 seconds, around 30 seconds. And those boys are running it in like, I don't know, 27 or 28, 26 maybe. Like they're smoking. Because we're going to see these private schools that were just amazing to watch. Some of these young men. And if she had to run against them every single time, she wouldn't run track anymore, because she would know from the very get-go, when the whistle blew, there was no chance she was catching unless God intervened and struck all 7 of those boys down, right? That she's going to win that race. She's not going to win it. If she were to step on the football field and do the same thing, I'm as a father setting her up to fail. And I know it's virtuous in our culture right now to say, oh, you know, get her out there, let her play. But it's not God's design for her to do that. That's not how she flourished. Because remember, the whole purpose of advancing the kingdom of God, the whole purpose is to teach humanity how to flourish. That's the whole idea. When you start to get into the Beatitudes, when you start to get into the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is saying, this is how you live in the kingdom now. This is how you flourish. Be perfect as my Father is perfect is about being complete. How do you be complete? How do you live a life where you flourish with Christ and you flourish with your brothers and sisters in humanity? How does humanity flourish? Where you follow these truths, right? Follow the truth. Stay in your lane. And when you don't, we don't flourish. So in teaching my daughters about sports and God's design for them is that you're not meant to play with men. That's not God's design. You're not going to flourish there. You're not going to flourish. You're not going to have the confidence. You're not going to have and I think you're going to even be outside of his will, because that's not what he wants for you. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, biblically speaking, like the church has got to understand our brothers and sisters, because we have a lot of families who are involved in sports. And they're gonna be falling for this hook, line, and sinker. Like, hey, I'm gonna get my daughter up in there. I'm gonna be proud. I'm gonna follow all this virtue and all this nonsense. And from a biblical perspective, we've got to be able to teach them and say, that's not how your kid flourishes. And there are big consequences down the line for your relationships with your sons and your daughters, and their relationships with their future spouses, if you start to instill this idea of gender equality inside of them. And you're gonna be mourning and regretting this 10, 15 years from now. And you're gonna be sad.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we're landing the plane now, but brought this into a biblical perspective so that we can begin to see what is rooted in the Imago Dei, being created in the image of God, and what that means for a man, and what that means for a woman, and what that means in our culture. And I believe that there are some courageous conversations that need to be had regarding this subject. And I say courageous, not from the standpoint of, hey, Jason, you need to get up and preach a message on why girls don't play football, because that passage is not in the scriptures. Your primary responsibility, my primary responsibility, as we open the Word of God and begin to expound what is and exposit what is there, is to communicate the truth of the gospel through the text. No text about women football players, but there is text about understanding the nature of a man and a woman and what we've been created to do and what that purpose is. And so thank you for rooting it in that. I do believe that there should be some conversations that small groups have, though, in which one father says to another father who might be considering letting his daughter participate in sports or participate specifically in football with men competing against her, to say, let's think through that. Why would you do that? Why would you put her in that situation and really begin to push back? I mean, the worst scenario, Jason, would be the father whose kids perpetually miss church because they're playing sports, but on top of that, perpetually missing church so that his daughter can play football. That's really the massive assault on what it means to be a member of a local church and what it means to be rooted in the body of Christ and in biblical community.
It's an ever expanding discussion, this whole sports in America, isn't it? I mean, we've gone from trying to encourage our families not to play sports as a priority, as a supreme value in your life, to now saying, furthermore, don't blur the gender roles inside of these, right? And so it just seems like the family's being spread crazy thin to idolatry, sports idolatry, and inside of that idolatry is now gender confusion. And that to me is the downfall of the family. That's one of the telling signs that the family's deteriorating is, one, the idolatry inside the family. Mm-hmm. Two, the confusion that the idolatry brings to the family roles. Now they're falling like crazy. We don't know what the man's supposed to be doing. We don't know what the woman's supposed to be doing. We don't know what the kids are supposed to be doing. Boys are girls, girls are boys, and now that deteriorates, and you've got massive problems. And of course, you're missing church, and some pastors trying to teach you about it because you're worshiping something else, and that's a problem. That's
rooted in idolatry.
Yeah.
Well, we have these kind of discussions every week, Jason and I. And so if you love this content and do participate and be a part of it, but tell some other people about these conversations that we're having. And I got some interesting looks yesterday, Jason, when I was telling them that I was going to be missing the morning session because I was going to be recording a live stream. And the subject matter is girls should not play competitive football against men.
At a Christian podcast?
Yeah, just because I think even in this world, most podcasters are concerned about getting their shows banned and the views going down. It's all about how to optimize the number of views that you get and how to optimize, the way that you're using all the parameters of live streaming. And one of the ways that you can cut your viewership is by doing topics like this. One of the ways that you can get yourself banned is by doing topics like this.
And that's so crazy because then you're essentially what you're going to do is you're going to avoid what really matters in truth altogether at some point. At some point, if you follow that, you're going to walk away from it because the truth is too hard to handle sometimes. That just drives
where I'm at.
Drives me nuts. I know where you are. I know where you are. But it drives me nuts that this is why American Christianity in the state it's in. Because you shouldn't get looks, and we shouldn't be worried about that. We should be worried about, hey, what's going to be good for the Christian culture as a whole, and then what's good for our culture, our humanity. And the Christians should be being the voice of saying, I ain't worried about your clicks. I'm worried about your soul. I'm worried about your family. But, hey, it wouldn't be American Christianity without this kind of. So
yes.
We got to land the plane. We're good.
Yeah. We're good. It has been the way forward today, and come check us out. We'll be doing this. We've got 13 episodes that are coming towards you. This is episode number 2 for the season. We'll see you guys next week.
Government officials